I guess going back to our previous conversation, if you're the Bills, who would you rather face? Because Pittsburgh could drop to the 7th seed.
They could, yes.
I think because of their defense, though, I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I think I would have to go with the Chargers at 6. But we haven't talked about the Texans yet either, because they're vulnerable, especially without Diggs. I mean, they played very well against Dallas, but it's Dallas. But I think Joe Mixon can be a weapon for them. Now that Nico Collins is healthy, they still have Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz. Their defense has been playing really well as of late. For me, I would go Chargers 6, Texans 5, Steelers 4. But, I mean, I could be open for another order.
No, I actually agree with you, actually. Surprisingly, because I thought I was going to have Pittsburgh a little bit higher, but I like that.
Now, I could also listen to the fact that you would rather play Russell Wilson in the playoffs than C.J. Stroud, so maybe Stroud gets bumped up to 4 and the Steelers get dropped to 5. I mean, if anyone in the comments wants to chime in here, we will definitely listen, and maybe you could be our tiebreaker. Can we agree that the Chargers are 6? I'm still not sold on them.
Yeah, no, the Chargers are 6. I'm not really sold on them, too. I want to see how they play against Kansas City again, and I don't know the rest of their schedule. The verdict's still out on the Chargers for me, at least.
Pull up their schedule if you don't mind, and then while you do that, I'll see if we get any more comments here about the Steelers. But while Pat does that, let me just talk about the Texans and the Steelers a little bit more in depth here. So starting with Houston, they are 4-1 at home, 3-3 on the road. They're 3-0 in the division, 5-1 conference record, and a plus 22 point differential. The Steelers, they're on a 5-game winning streak. They're 8-2, 4-1 at home, 4-1 on the road. They're just 1-0 in the division, but again, a lot of divisional opponents coming up here. A 5-1 conference record as well, and a plus 71 point differential. Man, I didn't realize that the Steelers have been playing that well. So I think I would stick with my original assessment, and they have that advantage over the Texans as well because they have that extra win in one less game as well.
Right.
So I think I got to go Houston 5, Pittsburgh 4.
No, I agree. I didn't realize Pittsburgh was playing that well either. If we'll just look at their point differential, plus 71. That's really good.
Yeah.
Especially for a team. I didn't think it was that high, especially with their offense. I know their defense is really good, but wow, plus 71.
Actually, before I make this point about the Steelers, let's take a look at the Chargers. So, okay, this is going to be a great matchup. So it's Baltimore on Monday Night Football. That is going to be a fun one to watch.
Yes, it will.
So 2 weeks in a row for the Chargers on primetime, which, you know what? I'm here for it.
Oh, yeah.
Then the Falcons, that's interesting because if they're healthy, their offense can be nice, but I don't know. They're kind of inconsistent. The Chiefs, I feel like this could be the year that the Chargers could have them, but again, they always crumble in the end. Maybe Harbaugh can be the difference maker. Tampa, that's another team like Atlanta where like they don't have a great defense, but their offense can strike at any moment.
Right, you can't. And Mike Evans will be back this week, so he will be back fully healthy against the Chargers.
That could be a slugfest. Denver and the Chargers on December 22nd. And then you would like to think that the Chargers could beat the Patriots. And then I think there's one more, right?
Yes, there is. And they play the Raiders.
So you would like to think if you're a Chargers fan, those are 2 wins right there. That's a toss-up for that Denver game. I think
it's a toss-up.
They can split between Tampa and Atlanta because I think both of those opponents are similar. So let's just say they're 3-2, Baltimore, and the Chiefs.
Yep, and the Chiefs.
I don't know. I mean, that's another team. I could see 3 or 4 wins, 3 or 4 losses, like Pittsburgh.
No, I'm right there with you too.
So yeah, I'm good with them at 6 because that could be problematic at times. We'll see though.
Yeah, we will see. And, if Justin Herbert does play well and they don't sizzle off towards the second half of, this last half of the season, who knows where they can be.
And do we know the injury update on Khalil Mack? While you do that, I'll pull up Houston's schedule because now I'm curious about what they have.
Khalil Mack
because I think Houston can still be a dangerous team, and I think that's why they would have to be in the top 5 for me because they do look dominant at times. I mean, say what you want about that Lions game because Yeah, they did keep it really close, so it was a great game. But at the same time, Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions, and the Lions still won. So that's probably not too favorable for Houston if you're trying to use that game to be like, oh, well, look at they kept it to 3 points, but Detroit, well, that's the game they probably should have won, especially because they were out to that bigger lead. Okay, so Houston has Tennessee. That should be a win.
It's a groin injury for quarterback.
Oh, okay. So looking at the Texans schedule, Titans, Jaguars, Dolphins. That's pretty easy. I mean, that could be 3 wins right there.
Right,
Then
they're going to win all 3 of those.
I mean, they could really beat the Chiefs.
They
Ravens, that'll be tough on. That's a great Christmas Day matchup. And then the Titans to finish out. So out of those 6 games, 4-2. So
and
11
that's a toss
wins.
Up between Kansas City, I would say.
Yeah. So I mean, like I feel like the Chargers, Pittsburgh, and Houston can all finish around 11-6.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah,
maybe 12 wins.
Yep.
But like that 10 to 12 win range. So I think we have it pretty solid here with Chargers 6, Texans 5, Steelers 4. Now the point that I was going to make about the Steelers, could you bump Baltimore down because they lost to Pittsburgh and say that the Steelers deserve to be in the top 3?
I mean, I would think you kind of have to, because look at the point differential as well. It's +8 in favor of Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh does have the head-to-head over them because they have only played once. So maybe you go Pittsburgh would take that Baltimore spot.
I could see that. If someone in the comments wants to say something here, feel free, because I'm curious to see what other people think. I still got to put Baltimore at 3 just because they have one of the best quarterbacks and one of the best running backs. And
that is true.
That kind of scares me going into January, where I think I would still rather face Pittsburgh because, again, this might be only a 10-win team when it's all said and done, and maybe Baltimore is going to be looking at 12 or 13 wins.
We do have a comment here. Steelers, Chiefs, and Bills in the top 3.
Well, what do you think, Pat? I mean, if you want to go Pittsburgh, we can, but I think I still got to go Baltimore at 3.
I kind of have to go Baltimore at 3. They do have the best running back in the league currently. I know I said earlier Saquon's playing out of his mind, but Derrick Henry does lead the league in rushing. No, he's second, right? He's a top 2 rusher in the NFL. Yeah,
Derrick Henry, he's first. He has almost 12.
Derrick Henry's first.
Yeah,
and they do have a 2-time MVP. Regardless if we think he should have won it last year or not, he is a 2-time MVP, and he is playing well. And Baltimore is playing well.
And for what it's worth, I mean, they have a plus 63 point differential, so it's not like they're that far off. But Baltimore is 4-4 in the conference. Pittsburgh's 5-1, so that could be pretty telling as well. But again, Pittsburgh has a lot of those interconference games coming up.
They do. Well, this is a hard one. Just like the AFC North, it's up for grabs.
Yeah, it really is. I wonder if there's some advanced metrics that we could pull here. Well, actually, we haven't looked at Baltimore's schedule. I guess we could do that before we make our ultimate decision.
Yes, I will pull a Baltimore schedule right now.
I'll tell you this. Whenever I play Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Justin Tucker, the Ravens defense in fantasy, it seems like maybe this is just me because I have terrible luck with fantasy, but it seems like they always go off where it's like, how does Lamar get 30 points and Derrick Henry and their defense gets 10 or 15? But I will say, I guess that's another good point too, is that their defense really hasn't been playing that well. And I think that they are vulnerable. So actually, while you pull up their schedule, I'm going to pull up.
Yep, I have it right here.
Okay. I'm going to look at the team stats because I'm curious to see what their overall defense is. So Baltimore is 26th, 27th, giving up 362 yards per game. But like, I don't want to read into that too much because I believe at the time when they were playing the Bills back in week 4, well, they were dead last in total yardage and they just put on a clinic on the Bills. So I feel like Baltimore is a team that can just turn it on, especially if they get some favorable elements. So let's take a look at their schedule here. Okay, so let's start with Monday night. I think they can beat the Chargers, but then I think they'll lose to Philly and then win against the Giants. So I see them going 2-1. Do they come back? I think they do split with Pittsburgh. So I think they beat the Steelers, but then lose to the Texans. and then beat
then
the Browns. So
yep,
what's
so 4-2.
4-2?
Yes, 4-2 in their last 6.
So they have 11 wins as well.
Yeah, they do. And Pittsburgh does have the harder schedule coming up, I would think. We're still having to play Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Houston, and Philadelphia as well.
Well, we got another comment here from Josh saying that the Ravens defense is suspect and defense travels in the playoffs, advantage Steelers. So I don't know. Maybe the more I think about it, maybe it should be Pittsburgh 3. But again, I just keep coming back to the fact, who scares you more, Lamar or Russell Wilson?
Lamar.
Lamar does crumble in January, and Russell Wilson does have a Super Bowl on his ledger. So, and so does Mike Tomlin, but so does Harbaugh. So it's just such a toss-up.
This is such a toss-up. Yeah. There's no wrong answer here. I wish they would have played twice already, but they haven't.
Well, we have 2 people in the comments saying that it should be Baltimore, then Pittsburgh. I say Pittsburgh, then Baltimore. So I guess we'll leave it up to you, Pat.
Ooh. I'm going to go Baltimore, then Pittsburgh.
Okay. So Ravens 4, Pittsburgh 3?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. I kind of like it, though, because
yeah, right.
I'm a big box score guy, and the Steelers are 8-2. So whether you think that it's a comfortable 8-2 or whether it's a lucky 8-2 or whatever, the fact is they're 8-2 and they found a way to get it done.
Right.
And they made that very gutsy call to go from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson.
Yep.
So yeah, okay. Pittsburgh 3. I'm going to say Kansas City 2, Buffalo 1.
I'm right there with you. Kansas City 2, Buffalo 1.
I mean, yeah, sure. Kansas City is still the 1 seed as of right now, but look what just happened on Sunday. I really don't think Kansas City is that good. Okay, here's the question. Okay. Could you drop Kansas City and bump up Baltimore and Pittsburgh? I can't put Pittsburgh in the top 2. I'm not going that far.
I can't. Not yet, at least.
Again, for the reasons that I laid out with Baltimore, I could see that, but I can't drop Kansas City to 4, even 3. Like,
no. They're 9-1 still. They are finding ways to win games. That is that championship culture. I can't drop them to 4 at least. 3, there's an argument to be made. But again, Kansas City did beat Baltimore earlier this year, and Pittsburgh and Kansas City are yet to play. If Pittsburgh were to beat Kansas City, then I would say yes, Pittsburgh would move into the top 2 maybe. But that just sounds, I don't know.
I can't drop them any more than 2.
Yeah, I can't drop Kansas City any more than 2, and I think Buffalo rightfully deserves the number 1 spot after dethroning the Chiefs and ruining their undefeated season.
All right, so I think we can all agree that to answer the question, so after all that time, thank you to everyone for being a part of this hour 40-minute plus show, as we will be wrapping up here in a couple minutes. But the main question tonight, are the Bills the best team in the AFC? And I think this answers it. Yes, as of right now, the Buffalo Bills are the number 1 team in the AFC, at least in terms of our power rankings. But I think a lot of people would agree, because I've seen even the national media say that it's Buffalo in the AFC and Detroit in the NFC.
I'm right there with you. I think Buffalo is the number 1 seed. Well, number 1 in the AFC. For the reasons that we just explained, they did just beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's a hard task in itself. So, and they are on a 6-game winning streak currently. Hopefully it's 7 next week.
All right. Well, just to recap here. So I'll start from 16 and work our way down to 1. And maybe we can get a graphic out tomorrow and we can post this on Twitter, because I think this is pretty interesting and people seem to enjoy this stuff. At least I think so. I enjoy it.
No, so do I.
Jets at 16, Raiders 15, Titans 14, Jaguars 13, Browns at 12. At 11, we put the Patriots. And then starting with the top 10 here, Dolphins at 10, Colts at 9, Bengals 8, Broncos 7, Chargers 6, Texans 5. And then we made that switch to put the Ravens at 4, Steelers at 3, Chiefs 2, Bills 1.